So I look up and he fully had his private parts out. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are having a good quarantine so far. So as you can tell from my title, I'm going to be doing a story time. I actually wasn't going to be talking about the situation at all. People reached out, a lot of comments, but I'm just gonna hop right into it. I'm not gonna really waste any time. So basically, I decided that I wanted to go tanning by the boardwalk, which is very common in this area. If you go down near Humber Bay area where I live around Toronto, you'll see girls just tanning all the time. And so I wasn't even actually wearing a bathing suit. I was just wearing shorts and a tube top that I don't know why. I think I was just not feeling like putting on a bathing suit that day. And I was reading my book. So I'm with my dog and we're just hanging out and I'm reading my book, and I noticed a man riding his bike who just stopped and pulled over by the tree right next to me. And in my head I was very confused because one, we're supposed to be socially distancing, so I don't know why he was even in my vicinity. And two, he was talking on the phone pretty loud and I was trying to read. So in my head, I'm just already thinking, you couldn't have hopped on this call somewhere else. It is a huge park, okay? There's many places you could have gone that wasn't in my vicinity at all. So already I was kind of annoyed and I was just alright, whatever. But I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to cause any problems, so I just left it. I ignored it and I just kept reading. He kept coming closer to me and I was a little bit confused because I'm you're already talking on the phone and you see that I'm trying to read. Dude, you're kind of rude, hello. But still ignored him. And then I was reading a page and I was from the corner of my eye I can see that he's doing something, so I was what the fuck? So I look up and he fully had his private parts out. And at this point he wasn't looking at me, he was kind of facing off into the distance and he wasn't at this point really touching himself. He was more so just showing me, I think. And I got so startled and I was so scared that I automatically just looked down. I was oh my gosh. And I initially felt I was in the wrong because I'm oh my god, he's scratching himself. And I just looked, I feel so bad, and I was ew, still ew, but oh my god. So I'm okay, I'm just gonna ignore it and I'm just gonna keep reading. And then he still was there and wouldn't leave, so then I looked up again, but this time it was just fully out there. And so at this point my heart kind of drops. I'm usually a very vocal person when I'm very bothered. If I'm in public and I feel someone is being rude or disrespectful towards me specifically, I'm the type that would address it. And at this very moment, if someone told me this story, I would have been oh, you need to tell him off, you need to yell at him. But when I was in the situation, I was oddly scared. I just felt this overwhelming fear, and I don't know why, because he wasn't gonna do anything that, from what I know, looked like he was gonna harm me physically, but it was just such a shock that I got scared. And I immediately just packed up all my stuff and I just ran behind a tree. This is another part that kind of annoys me, is that instead of being angry at him, I was angry at myself for not, one, videotaping him, or two, like, calling him out, because there were people in the park. Not a lot. It was in the afternoon, and I do think that people were still working or doing stuff. So it wasn't very populated, but there were people. And if I started yelling and hollering, I'm pretty sure someone would have come over and helped me. But in the moment, I was just shocked and disgusted and scared, and all those like negative feelings that you could possibly be feeling when someone unwarrantedly just shows you their private parts. So whatever, I go, I run, I'm behind this tree, and I'm like, maybe like, and then you start to second guess yourself. Like, you're like, okay, well, maybe he wasn't actually doing what I think he was doing. Maybe he was just scratching himself and accidentally but then I'm like, wait, no, because he fully just, like, where he was doing those motions that you would think that someone would be doing when they are touching themselves. And then I peeped up from, like, behind the tree to go look if he was still there. And I kid you not, he walked up from the beach onto the boardwalk, because it goes the beach, the boardwalk, and then grass, and the trees where I hid, the grassy area. And I kid you not, he looked and looked. And then the minute that he saw that I wasn't there, he got on his bike and just left immediately. And that just kind of solidified what had happened and how disgusted I felt. I felt very violated. It was really, really disturbing. And I think that it really bothered me because he deliberately chose to come near me. Not to say that I wouldn't wish he went to any other I just wish he freaking didn't do that, period. But he willingly stopped in front of me to do such a disgusting thing that I felt, like, really bothered by it. Like, I was truly upset. And then it just made me think of all these different girls that have gone through situations that could be a lot more harmful in a physical sense. Oh my god. I'm getting emotional about this. Did not think I was gonna get emotional about this, but yeah, like, I think it's because I have a lot of friends who have been physically sexually assaulted. I've had friends who have been raped, and you never understand the impact that it has on a person until you kind of slightly go through something a little bit similar. And although my situation wasn't as bad as someone who may have been raped or physically sexually assaulted, you still get a sense of what it could be like, because it's unwarranted and it's so violating. And, like, I'm so bothered by this situation, which to some people may seem small. It's never happened to me so out of the blue that I was like, I can't even imagine what my friends have been through, for those who have shared their story with me. And I know I'm not the only one that goes through stuff like this, because so many girls do. And really bothered me. I was fairly upset about it, and automatically I, like, texted my mom, because she was gonna come meet me anyway, and I was like, told her what it was. She was obviously furious, and she was the one to tell me to call the cops. I did, but it's another thing that I'm kind of upset about, is that I didn't call the cops right away. I waited a few hours because, one, we did go look for officers, because quite frequently there are officers down there. And by the time that I called, the lady on the phone was really nice, the officer, but she said to me, I'm really sorry that this happened to you. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon. I hope it never happens to you, but if it does, you must call the cops as soon as it happens so that we have a greater chance of catching them, which totally makes sense. Which is why I'm kind of upset that I didn't, because he's probably out there doing that to probably girls that are younger than me. So yeah, that's the story. Kind of upsetting. And so I go on to share this on social media because I just was so disgusted and I just needed to share it. And I am a person that likes to use all my social media platforms to raise awareness about certain things. And the overwhelming response of girls who were just like, I'm really sorry this happened to you. And when I put it on TikTok, I had random girls that I don't even know say, I'm sorry that happened to you. I've been through something similar. You need to call the cops. Just like, holy shit. Like, I was like, holy shit. This is a lot more common than I initially thought. So then I had a few friends tell me, hey, this happened to me as well. I know it's really violating and it sucks, but if it really bothered you in a way that it affected your like mental state for even just a few seconds, you can come talk to me. It made me feel like the community of females that I surround myself with is just so healthy. They're so supportive. And even like saying, like talking about the situation that happened and the amount of support, and like it was overwhelming. Like the amount of people that messaged me, I was like, holy shit. Like, it felt nice, you know? And then it makes you think about, okay, like that Me Too movement, I get it. Like, I always understood it. I always got it, supported it 100%. But this like was the reason. And even though my situation isn't like the most severe for any type of like sexual harassment or sexual assault cases there are out there, like they all kind of fit in the same bubble. And as women, like, we need to be able to talk about it and then to be able to like support each other. So because of the situation and because of a few girls telling me that this has happened, I politely asked two of my friends if they would share their story with me in order to shed light that this is a very common thing. So they gave me their permission, and it's not long, it's very short, but I'm going to talk about what had happened to them. Okay, so the first one is from my friend. Thank you for sharing if you're watching this. Sometimes I know that it's kind of hard to like revisit things like that, but they were both willing. So this is my first friend that I've known since high school, and we've known each other for a long time. So we always talk anyway. So she says, yes, it's wrong, and we don't talk about it because we feel like we did something to provoke it, or we were just disgusted. In my case, I was working my first summer at the outdoor pool, and it was in the morning at like 10 a.m. And we only had two people in the pool, a mom and a child. I was on my guard post and noticed a guy standing really close to the fence and staring. So I kept an eye out, and I got distracted by the family in the pool and forgot about him for a minute. Then I look over, and his is fully out, and he was fully, She froze. She said, I froze. I froze and quickly thought of the little kid in the pool. So I called my supervisor over, and he called the cops. It was really gross, and he left as soon as my supervisor came, so I'm pretty sure he was never caught. Ends up, he's done it there a few summers ago, so it is a very common thing. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure, I hope I'm not wrong to the story, but the pool that I know that she worked at was the one that's very close to my place. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same man doing the same thing. And then I have another story. This other girl went to university with, such a nice girl. I really like her. Very sweet. Thank you for sharing your story if you're watching this. She said basically she was driving and was stopped at a red light. The car that was stopped beside me was a middle-aged man, and I remember just looking forward and waiting for the light to turn green. But from the corner of my eye, I can see a motion going on in the car beside me. So I looked to see what was going on, and basically he pulled his out and thrusted his hips up to make sure that I could see, and he was, in fact, it was the most disturbing thing ever. I just looked away and I pretended like I didn't see anything because obviously his goal was to get a reaction out of me, and I wasn't going to give him that satisfaction. So, thank you guys for sharing that story. It's just to shed light that this happens a lot, probably way too often. And I think that when things like this happen, it's important to talk about it and to shed light on it, because sometimes I feel like it does get lost, and if we stop talking about it, it's just gonna kind of dissipate and people will stop fully, and that's not good at all. So this is my video for this week. I know it wasn't a very happy one, but it's an important one to talk about. And for those who do live in my area, in the Etobicoke area in Toronto, just be careful, because I know that there's situations that happen all the time. My mom told me that this used to happen so often that people didn't even call the cops when she was younger. So as going forward, I think we all need to be very diligent in catching these types of people, because you don't know what kind of people they're targeting, and if they were to target someone younger, it could be extremely dangerous and very, very scary for someone who is a lot more innocent and younger. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This video was really important for me to make because I feel very strongly about these types of situations and these types of issues. So, thank you. And I hope you liked it. If you support this channel and support all these types of things, and if you're looking for just some fun content, so hit that subscribe button if you're new here. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And yeah, if you can leave a comment about anything, leave it down below, and I post every Sunday. So I will see you guys next week. Thanks.